The holographic enemies dissolved into nothing as the simulation ended, leaving 4 alien cadets standing among digital ruins. Rin wiped green blood from his mandibles, his mantis-like body still trembling with battle excitement. Beside him, Bellows flexed his armored scales, proud of another victory won through direct assault. Sayuri cleaned her claws methodically, her feline features showing satisfaction. Torvas's amphibious skin shifted colors as he processed their performance. Simulation complete, the computer announced. Objective secured. Casualty rate 62%. Rin clicked his mandibles together. A glorious victory. We charged with honor and claimed the position. Agreed. Bellows rumbled, his deep voice echoing in the training chamber. Strength prevailed as it should. A slow clap echoed from the observation deck. The cadets turned to see a human descending the stairs. He was smaller than any of them, his body lacking the natural armor, speed, or strength they all possessed. His species had joined the Galactic Coalition only 3 cycles ago, yet here he stood in an instructor's uniform. Instructor David Wright. He introduced himself without ceremony. I'll be teaching advanced combat tactics starting today. Sayuri's ears twitched. With respect, instructor, humans are new to galactic warfare. What can you teach us that our masters have not? David tapped his datapad. Let me show you something. The holographic display activated, showing footage from human military history, explosions, ambushes, traps, retreating soldiers, hidden snipers. This is how humans fight. Bellows snorted. You run from battle. Where's the honor in hiding? We fight to win, David said simply. Not to die gloriously. He changed the image to show casualty statistics. Your simulation just killed 62% of your force. In human military doctrine, that's called a catastrophic failure. Not a victory, but we achieved the objective. Rin protested his warrior pride stung. At what cost? David walked closer to the towering aliens. Every soldier who dies is someone's family member. We value their lives more than we value glory. Torvas's skin rippled with confusion, but galactic doctrine teaches that honorable combat demonstrates species worthiness. Direct confrontation proves strength, David smiled. And that's exactly why I'm here. Your species evolved as apex predators or herd defenders. You're built for direct confrontation. He gestured to his own body. Humans aren't. We're weaker, slower, more fragile than most galactic species. So we adapted. Adapted how? Sayuri asked, her curiosity overcoming skepticism. We learned to fight dirty, David said without shame. We use terrain, deception, patience, psychology. We turn our enemies' strengths against them. We avoid fair fights because fair fights get people killed. Rin's mandibles clacked in anger. This is cowardice dressed as strategy. True warriors face their enemies with honor. Then true warriors die unnecessarily, David responded calmly. Tell me, Cadet Rin, if you could save your entire squad by using deception instead of charging in a certain death, which would you choose? The question hung in the air. Rin wanted to say he would choose honor, but the words stuck in his throat. David continued. Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other before joining galactic society. We learned every possible way to kill and survive. Guerrilla warfare, asymmetric tactics, psychological operations, sabotage. We studied war like you study honor codes. Bellows crossed his massive arms. Words mean nothing. Prove your methods work. Gladly. David accessed the simulation controls. Tomorrow, you'll face an enemy using human tactics. Same scenario, same objectives. Let's see how your traditional approach handles it. We will crush them, Bellows declared confidently. Sayuri was less certain. What parameters will you set? That's the thing about human warfare, David said, walking toward the exit. We don't fight by our enemy's rules. We make them fight by ours. He paused at the door. One more thing. In your culture, retreat is shameful. In human military history, some of our greatest victories came after strategic retreats. We call it living to fight another day. After he left, the 4 cadets stood in silence. Finally, Torvas spoke. He speaks strangely for a warrior. He speaks like prey, pretending to be predator. Bellows grumbled. But Siri's mind was working. He said humans are physically inferior, yet they survived long enough to reach space. How? Rin had no answer. His species had legends of honorable combat stretching back millennia. The idea of deliberately avoiding fair fights seemed fundamentally wrong. Yet something about David's words nagged at him. "We shall see tomorrow," he said finally, "if these human tactics are as effective as claimed, or merely excuses for cowardice." The next morning arrived with all four cadets eager to prove their traditional method superior. They entered the simulation chamber to find David already there, looking entirely too relaxed. "Ready?" he asked. "We are always ready for battle," Rin replied stiffly. "Good." David activated the simulation. "Your mission is simple. Capture and hold the command center. You'll face defenders using human doctrine. They're outnumbered 4-1. Should be easy, right?" The environment materialized around them. Urban terrain, damaged. Buildings, rubble-strewn streets. Perfect ambush territory, Siri noted with growing unease. "Begin." David's voice echoed. The cadets moved forward in standard formation. Bellows at point with his heavy armor. Rin and Siri on flanks. Torvas coordinating from center. They advanced confidently toward the target building. That confidence lasted exactly 90 seconds. The explosion came from beneath Bellows, a planted charge that sent him flying backward. Before they could react, sniper fire pinged off. Rin's carapace from an impossible angle. Siri darted for cover as more shots rang out. "Where are they?" Bellows roared, struggling to his feet. "Everywhere and nowhere." The enemy refused to show themselves. Hit and run, disappear, strike for new positions. The cadets tried to pursue, but found only empty rooms and more traps. Their communications crackled with interference, false orders in their own voices. Torvas tried to coordinate but couldn't tell real transmissions from fake ones. 30 minutes into the simulation, they had lost 40% of their force and hadn't even seen an enemy soldier. "Simulation end," David called. The holographic battlefield vanished. For very frustrated aliens stood amid the empty chamber. David descended from observation. "So, how did human tactics work for you?" Nobody answered. Rin's mandibles ground together in barely controlled fury. "Same scenario," David said quietly. "Same objectives, but your 62% casualties look pretty good, compared to your 80% just now. And you didn't even complete the mission. This is not real warfare." Bellows protested. "No honorable species would fight this way." David met his eyes. "Then it's fortunate for humanity that we were never trying to be honorable, just alive." Rin had not slept well. His rest chamber felt confining as his mind replayed the simulation defeat. 60 cycles of military training, and he had never felt so helpless. The human tactics had made him feel like prey instead of predator. The debriefing room held 5 chairs, 4 large ones for the alien cadets, and 1 human-sized seat where David sat reviewing footage. Morning light filtered through the station's viewports, illuminating the diverse group. "Let's analyze what happened," David began without preamble. The holographic display showed their failed assault from multiple angles. "Cadet Bellows, you led the advance. What was your thinking?" Bellows shifted uncomfortably. "Standard doctrine. Heavy armor breaks enemy lines. Others follow through the gap. And it would work against enemies using your doctrine." David agreed. "But humans don't stand in lines waiting to be broken." He highlighted several moments. "Watch. My simulated forces retreated immediately. You thought you were winning. Retreat means defeat," Torvas said, though his voice held less certainty than before. David shook his head. "Retreat is a tool. Sun Tzu, an ancient human strategist, wrote that all warfare is based on deception. Appear weak when you are strong. Make your enemy think they're winning while leading them into a trap." He pulled up more footage. "Cadet Rin, you pursued what you thought was a fleeing enemy. What happened?" Rin's mandibles clicked in frustration. "They led me into a prepared position. Explosives I could not detect. Firing angles I did not anticipate." "Exactly." David leaned forward. "Humans evolved as persistence hunters on a death world. We couldn't outrun our prey or overpower it. So we tracked it for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. We learn patience as a survival trait. Sayuri's ears perked up. Death World, your planet is classified dangerous. Earth has weather that can kill in minutes, animals that consider humans food, diseases, poisonous plants. Natural disasters, David said matter-of-factly. We evolved to survive anyway, not through strength or speed, but through stubborn refusal to give up an ability to adapt. He changed the display to show historical human conflicts. Vietnam. A technologically inferior force defeated the most powerful military of its time. How? By refusing to fight the way their enemy expected, by using terrain, patience, and intimate knowledge of their environment. Afghanistan, he continued. Multiple galactic-level powers try to conquer it across centuries. Local fighters with inferior weapons defeated them all, not through honor or glory, but through making occupation more costly than conquest was worth. Bellows rumbled thoughtfully. You make warfare sound like a business calculation. Because it is, David said. Every war has a cost in lives and resources. Humans learned to make our enemies pay more than they were willing to spend. We win by making them quit, not by destroying them in. Glorious battle. Torvas's skin shifted to contemplative purple. This contradicts everything we were taught, that superior warriors defeat inferior ones through demonstrated prowess. David pulled up statistics. Galactic Coalition forces using traditional doctrine. Average casualty rate in border conflicts, 40%. Human forces in same conflicts, 8%. Both achieved mission objectives. He let that sink in. Which approach values their soldiers more? The question troubled Rin deeply. But without honor, what separates warrior from murderer? Intent and necessity. David responded seriously. Humans have extensive laws of war. We don't target civilians. We treat prisoners humanely. We avoid unnecessary destruction. Our tactics may seem dishonorable, but they're designed to end conflicts quickly with minimal total casualties on all sides. He stood and walked to the viewport. Every tactic I showed you yesterday has one goal. Ensure our soldiers come home to their families. Deception means fewer direct confrontations. Traps mean we fight from advantage. Psychological warfare means enemies surrender instead of dying. He turned back to them. How is preserving life dishonorable? Sayuri spoke softly. My people value cleverness. I begin to understand your logic. A dead warrior protects no one. Exactly, David said. Humans learned this through bitter experience. We fought each other for millennia. Millions died in wars over territory, resources, ideology. Eventually, we realized the warrior who survives is worth more than the warrior who dies gloriously. Bellows was struggling with the concept. But my people's entire culture is built on proving strength through combat. How do we reconcile this? You don't have to abandon your values, David said. You have to expand them. Is it not strength to choose the hard path of patient planning over the easy path of immediate attack? Is it not courage to risk being called coward while doing what actually protects your unit? He pulled up a new image. Ancient human warriors in ornate armor. Japanese samurai. Warriors with strict honor codes. They valued direct combat and personal glory. Another image appeared. They also mastered deception, espionage, and assassination when necessary. They understood that true honor meant fulfilling your duty, not following arbitrary rules that get your people killed. Rin stared at the images. These warriors look noble. They were, David said. And they were. Practical. Honor and effectiveness aren't opposites. You can have both if you're willing to think beyond tradition. The room fell silent as the cadets processed this. Finally, Torvas asked, "What would you have us do?" David smiled. "Learn. Tomorrow we start practical training. You'll work alongside human soldiers. Experience our methods firsthand. Then you can decide what works for you." "I still believe direct confrontation has merit," Bellows said stubbornly. "It does," David agreed. "When the situation calls for it. That's the key. Humans use the right tool for each job. Sometimes that's overwhelming force. Sometimes it's a single sniper. Sometimes it's just information and patience." He looked at each of them. Adaptability is the human advantage. We're not locked into one approach. Sayuri's tail twitched. "You mentioned working with human soldiers. Will they accept us? They will, David assured. Humans are very good at cooperation. Another evolved trait. We're pack hunters who learn to work with different tribes. Now we work with different species. He grinned. Fair warning, though. Human soldiers have a strange sense of humor. Don't be surprised if they play pranks. Pranks? Rin asked. During military training, stress relief, David explained. Humans use humor to cope with danger. You'll get used to it. As the session ended, the cadets filed out discussing what they had learned. Rin hung back. Instructor, he said quietly. My entire life, I trained to be an honorable warrior. Now I question everything I believed. David nodded understanding. I know it's difficult. But consider this. Is it more honorable to follow tradition blindly, or to question whether tradition truly serves its intended purpose? Rin had no answer. David continued. Your ancestors developed your honor codes in their environment, against their enemies. The galaxy is bigger than they knew. Adapting doesn't mean abandoning who you are. It means becoming who you need to be. The mantis-like alien clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. Tomorrow's training. I will participate with open mind. That's all I ask, David said. The rest you'll figure out yourself. As Rin left, David looked back at the viewport. Teaching aliens to fight like humans was proving easier than expected. They were intelligent, dedicated, and capable of growth. What happened when the galaxy's warriors adopted human tactics would be interesting to see. Somewhere in the station, alarms would eventually sound for real conflicts. When they did, these cadets would be ready, not to die with honor, but to live and protect others. That was the human way. The armory smelled of metal and lubricant as Rin examined the equipment laid out before him. Beside him stood two human soldiers who barely reached his thorax. Private Amy Lee checked her rifle with practiced efficiency, while Corporal Robert Fisher adjusted his pack. First time working with humans? Amy asked cheerfully. Yes, Rin admitted. I am uncertain what to expect, Robert laughed. Expect the unexpected. That's kind of our thing. He offered a canteen. Water, staying hydrated is crucial for long operations. Rin accepted it awkwardly. The casual friendliness surprised him. Among his people, warriors maintained formal distance until proven in battle together. David entered with Siri following. Squad Alpha, gather up. We have a 48-hour exercise starting in 1 hour. He projected a map. Intelligence gathering mission. There's a simulated enemy command post here. We need to know their strength, movements, and plans without being detected. No assault. Bellows asked from across the armory where he was being outfitted with human demolition equipment. Not yet, David confirmed. First we learn, then we act. Charging in blind gets people killed. Amy handed Rin camouflage netting. Here, helps break up your outline. Your natural coloring is great for your home world, but stands out here. She showed him how to drape it. See, now you're harder to spot. The gesture was practical and kind. Rin found himself appreciating the lack of ceremony. These humans simply prepared for the mission without grand speeches or ritual preparations. Stealth is not my strength, he admitted. Then we'll teach you, Robert said. Humans aren't naturally stealthy either. We're actually pretty clumsy compared to most predators. But we learned because we needed to. The exercise began with Squad Alpha moving through forested terrain. Rin tried to advance as quietly as possible, but his natural stride made noise. Amy appeared beside him, demonstrating a different walking technique. Roll your foot from heel to toe. Test the ground before committing your weight. Move with the wind so sounds blend into background noise. She made it look effortless. Hours passed with agonizing slowness. They covered less distance than Rin could have sprinted in minutes. But David insisted on patience. Rushing creates mistakes, he said. Mistakes create casualties. We have time. Use it. By nightfall, they had observed the enemy position from 3 different angles. Robert sketched patrol patterns while Siri's natural night vision picked up details the humans needed optical enhancers to see. 12 sentries, she reported. Rotating every 4 hours. Communications array on the roof. Vulnerable to sabotage. Good eyes, Amy complimented. With your vision and our planning, we make a solid team. Rin noticed something. The humans treated Siri as an equal contributor, not as someone subordinate or superior. They adapted their tactics to use everyone's natural strengths. We could strike now, he suggested. Only 12 guards. David shook his head. We're here to gather intelligence. Attacking reveals our presence and ends our information stream. Plus, those 12 guards aren't the target. They're just doing their jobs. Why create casualties we don't need? Because they're the enemy, Rin protested. Today, they're simulated enemies, Robert said. But in real operations, those guards might have families. Maybe they're conscripts who don't want to fight. Maybe they'll surrender if given the option. Killing them accomplishes nothing except making their replacements more alert. The concept troubled Rin. You consider the enemy's perspective. Always, Amy said, humans learn that enemies are just people on the other side. Understanding them helps predict their actions. Plus, enemies who think you might show mercy are more likely to surrender instead of fighting to the death. Over the next day, they gathered extensive intelligence. Enemy supply schedules, communication frequencies, weak points in perimeter defense. Siri proved invaluable with her senses while Rin's strength allowed him to carry extra equipment. The humans provided the tactical framework that made everything work together. During a rest period, Robert shared ration bars. Not great, he admitted, but calories are calories on long operations. Your people plan for extended missions. Rin observed, humans are endurance specialists. Amy explained, we can operate for days without sleep if necessary. Our bodies adapted for it. Most species sprint better than us, but we outlast everyone. She grinned. Turns out that's really useful in military operations. An alert from their sensors interrupted the conversation. Enemy patrol approaching their high position. Everyone froze. Rin's instinct screamed to engage. His warrior training demanded he meet the threat. But David's hand signal was clear. Remain hidden. The patrol passed within meters. Rin could have reached out and touched them. His entire body tensed, ready for combat. But the humans remained perfectly still, barely breathing. After the patrol left, Amy whispered, good discipline. I know that was hard for you. Every instinct told me to fight. Rin admitted. Mine too, Roberts said. Humans have fight-or-flight responses just like you. We're predators who are also prey for most of our evolution. But we learned to override instinct with logic. He tapped his head. Big brains. Remember, our best weapon. On the second day, they observed something unexpected. The enemy was preparing to relocate their command post. Without the intelligence Squad Alpha gathered, an assault on the original position would have found it empty. This is why we watch first, David said with satisfaction. Now we know where they're really going. He radioed other squads. All units. Target is shifted. Updating coordinates. Torvas's voice came back. Confirmed. Squad Gamma has visual on new location. Much better defensive position than the old one. Good thing we didn't attack yesterday, Siri noted. Rin felt understanding dawn. Patience revealed information that aggression would have missed. Exactly, David said. And now when we do strike, we'll hit the right target with full knowledge of their capabilities. He looked at Rin. That's the difference. Traditional tactics would have you charging the first objective you see. Human tactics make sure it's the right objective. First, the final phase began with coordinated strikes. Bellows' squad used their demolition training to cut supply lines. Torvas led his team in sabotaging communications. Squad Alpha provided overwatch, their gathered intelligence guiding everyone else. When the actual assault came, it was anticlimactic, cut off from support and communications, aware they were surrounded. The enemy commander surrendered without firing a shot. Exercise complete. The announcement rang out, attacking force. 92% survival rate. Mission accomplished with 0 casualties. In the debriefing, Academy leadership looked stunned at the statistics. Traditional exercises rarely saw below 50% casualty rates. David presented the squad. Cadet Rin demonstrated excellent discipline in resisting his instinct for immediate action. Cadet Siri's sensory capabilities proved invaluable for reconnaissance. Combined with human patience and planning, the results speak for themselves. Rin stood straighter. He had not won glory in combat, but he had contributed to something more important, A victory where everyone survived. After dismissal, Amy approached him. You did great. A lot of soldiers can't adapt to new tactics. Takes guts to question what you were taught. I am beginning to see the value, Rin admitted, though it challenges my understanding of warfare. Robert clapped him on the shoulder. That's growth. Best warriors are the ones who keep learning. That night, Rin meditated on his experiences, 2 days of watching instead of fighting, of planning instead of charging, of considering enemy perspectives instead of simply destroying them. His ancestors might not understand, but his squad mates were all alive. In the end, perhaps that was the truest honor. 3 weeks had transformed the training facility. Alien cadets now moved through obstacle courses with human fluidity, their natural abilities enhanced by tactical thinking rather than limited by tradition. In the strategy room, Bellows traced supply routes on a holographic map while explaining logistics to younger students. The Real test came without warning. Academy alarms shrieked through corridors as actual emergency lights bathed everything in red. Not a drill. Real situation, David's voice boomed over intercoms. All advanced cadets to briefing room immediately. This is not an exercise. Rin arrived to find his squad mates already assembled. The holographic display showed a civilian transport vessel disabled near an asteroid field. Pirates had seized it, holding 200 passengers hostage while demanding ransom. Admiral Kresh, a veteran of countless campaigns, addressed them. Galactic Coalition forces are 3 days away. Those civilians don't have 3 days. The pirates have. Superior firepower and defensive position among the asteroids. His 4 eyes swept across the assembled cadets and instructors. I'm authorizing an immediate rescue operation. We have 1 training corvette available. Impossible, another instructor protested. Traditional assault doctrine requires at least frigate-class vessels and numerical superiority. David stood. Permission to lead a volunteer force using alternative tactics. Kresh studied him. Your human methods are unproven in real combat, then let us prove them, Rin said, surprising himself. He looked at his squad mates. Siri nodded. Torvaz's skin flashed determined orange. Even Bellows rumbled agreement. The Admiral's expression was unreadable. You have 12 hours. If you fail, those civilians die, and you die with them. If you try traditional assault, you die, and civilians probably die anyway. He made his decision. Proceed with human tactics. May your ancestors forgive me if I'm wrong. The training corvette launched with a mixed crew, 20 humans and 15 alien cadets who had embraced new ways of fighting. Rin found himself planning the operation alongside David and his squad mates. Direct assault is suicide, David stated. Pirates chose their position well. Any ship approaching gets destroyed. We cannot simply wait, Bellows argued, though now he waited for solutions instead of demanding charge. Siri's ears twitched. What if we don't approach as a threat? Everyone looked at her. She continued. Pirates expect military response. What if we appear to be something else? Asteroid miners, perhaps, or damaged freighters seeking shelter. Robert grinned. Deception and misdirection. I like it, Torvaz added. My people can survive vacuum for short periods. If we pretend to have life support failure, they might let us drift close while investigating potential salvage. The plan developed rapidly. Humans contributing psychological analysis of pirate behavior. Aliens adding their unique capabilities. Amy suggested broadcasting fake distress calls. Bellows proposed using his strength to breach hull if they got close enough. We need them to lower shields, David said. That's the critical moment. Rin clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. Pirates are motivated by profit. What if we offer them something valuable? Not ransom, but opportunity. His tactical thinking had evolved. We broadcast that we're carrying medical supplies for colony plague. Valuable cargo they could steal. Make them greedy, Amy said with approval. Classic human strategy. Turn their desires against them. The corvette approached the asteroid field broadcasting distress. Engine damage, life support failing, valuable medical cargo aboard. It was a feast too tempting for pirates to ignore. Inside the ship, the team prepared. Robert and his demolition specialists rigged non-lethal explosives. Siri and her stealth team prepared to infiltrate. Bellows organized the breach team. Torvas coordinated. Communications. Rin found himself naturally falling into a leadership role alongside David. The human noticed and smiled. "You've come far," David said quietly. "From warriors seeking glory to tacticians seeking victory. I learned from the best." Rin replied, then added, "Though my ancestors would be horrified at some of our plans, your ancestors never faced pirates holding civilians," David countered. "Honor is contextual. The highest honor is protecting the innocent." The pirate vessel took the bait. Their tractor beam locked onto the corvette, pulling it close, exactly as planned. Shields lowering. Amy reported, "They're preparing boarding parties. Let them come." David said, "Torvas, are your infiltration teams in position?" The amphibian skin flashed affirmative blue. While pirates focused on the corvette, Torvas and 6 others had used the asteroids as cover, swimming through space to approach the civilian transport from an unexpected angle. The pirate boarding party entered the corvette to find it seemingly abandoned. They moved through corridors, searching for the valuable cargo. Meanwhile, Sierra's team moved like shadows through the pirate vessel, locating the command center. "On my mark," David whispered into communications. "Remember, we want prisoners, not bodies. These are criminals, but they're still sentient beings." Rin appreciated that. Even now, facing real enemies, humans avoided unnecessary killing. Mark, multiple things happened simultaneously. Robert's non-lethal explosives filled pirate corridors with stunning concussion and blinding flash. Bellows' team breached the command center with overwhelming speed. Sierra disabled weapons systems. Torvas' infiltrator secured the civilian transport's engines. The pirates, expecting either surrender or traditional combat, were utterly unprepared for coordinated deception and precision strikes. Within 8 minutes, it was over. Pirate captain found himself disarmed and surrounded. "This is dishonorable," he snarled. "You tricked us, yes," Rin said calmly. "We did. You are holding innocents hostage. We remove that option with minimal bloodshed. Your crew will face justice, but they'll face it alive." The pirate looked confused. "You could have killed us all." "We could have," David agreed, "but we chose not to. That's the difference between warriors and murderers. We use violence as a last resort, not a first option." The rescued civilians evacuated safely. No casualties on either side except minor injuries. When coalition forces arrived, they found the situation resolved. Admiral Kresh reviewed the operation footage in silence. Finally, he spoke. "In 40 years of military service, I have never seen an operation executed with such precision and such minimal loss of life." He looked at David. "Your human methods are unorthodox, unconventional, and completely contrary to established doctrine." David waited for the other shoe to drop. "They also work," Kresh continued. "I am recommending that human tactical training be integrated in a standard coalition military curriculum." He turned to Rin and the other cadets. "You are proof that adaptation is strength, not weakness." Later, in the mess hall, the team celebrated. Amy taught Bellows a human drinking song. Robert showed Torvas card tricks. Siri played a strategy game with several human soldiers. Rin sat with David, watching the integration. "We have created something new," he observed. "Not human tactics or alien traditions, but a synthesis of both. That's how humans have always operated." David said, "We absorb good ideas from everywhere. We used to call it cultural exchange. Now it's galactic cooperation." He raised his glass. "To adaptation, to survival." Rin added, "To bringing everyone home." They said together, across the galaxy, word would spread, not of humans as mighty warriors, but as survivors who valued life above glory, as teachers who helped others find better ways, as allies who made everyone stronger. And in military academies on 100 worlds, instructors would begin questioning ancient doctrines. Students would learn that the goal of warfare was not death with honor, but life with purpose. The galaxy was changing. One rescued ship, one training exercise, one challenge tradition at a time. And humanity, the species that had spent millennia learning to survive their own death world, was showing everyone else how to survive the greater galaxy, not through superior strength, but through superior adaptability. not through honor alone, but through wisdom combined with courage. Not by following the old ways, but by finding better ones. That was the human gift to the stars, the stubborn, pragmatic, infinitely adaptable spirit that refused to accept that things must be done a certain way simply because they always had been, and the galaxy would never be quite the same. 6 months had rewritten military education across 3 sectors. The academy where alien cadets once learned only traditional warfare now hosted instructors from a dozen species, all teaching variations on human adaptive tactics. Rin stood before a class of new students, his mandibles clicking as he explained deception strategies. Your instinct will be to charge, he told them. Resist that instinct. Think first, act second. A warrior who survives protects their people far better than a corpse decorated with honors. In the observation room, David watched with satisfaction. His former student had become a teacher, spreading lessons learned through experience rather than tradition alone. Admiral Kresh entered. Impressive transformation, he said. When you first proposed this training, I thought you were mad. Many did, David agreed. Change is uncomfortable, especially for institutions built on centuries of tradition. The statistics are undeniable, though. Kresh pulled up. Data. Coalition forces using integrated human tactics. Casualty reduction of 73%. Mission success rate increased by 41%. Even traditional warrior cultures are requesting human advisors. David smiled. Because we showed them that surviving doesn't mean abandoning who they are. It means becoming more of what they claim to value. What good is a warrior culture if all the warriors are dead? Below, Rin's class practiced camouflage techniques. Species from different worlds learning to hide despite vastly different biologies. A heavily armored cadet learned to move quietly. A naturally stealthy one learned patience. All of them learning that intelligence mattered more than instinct. Bellows taught demolition in another section. Not destruction for its own sake, but precise application of force to achieve specific objectives with minimal collateral damage. His students included members of his own species, warriors who once would have scorned such careful methods. Seiri ran reconnaissance training. Her natural stealth combined with human information gathering techniques created a curriculum that intelligence services across the galaxy were adopting. Knowing your enemy before fighting them was becoming standard doctrine. Torva's coordinated logistics classes, teaching how humans manage supply chains to sustain operations far longer than traditional warfare allowed. Endurance over intensity. Sustainability over glory. In the grand auditorium, a graduation ceremony unlike any before was taking place. 500 cadets from 47 species receiving commissions as officers in the new integrated coalition forces. They had all trained in both traditional and human methods, learning to apply the right tool for each situation. David addressed them. You are the first generation of truly galactic warriors, he began. You carry your species' traditions, your ancestors' courage, your culture's honor codes, but you also carry something new. The understanding that warfare is not about proving yourself. It's about protecting others. He paused, looking across the diverse crowd. Humans came to galactic society with a reputation as the species that refused to fight fair. Some called it cowardice. Some called it cunning. We called it survival. But here's what we really brought, he continued. 10,000 years of making mistakes and learning from them. Countless wars that taught us violence should be a last resort, not a first. Response. Bitter experience showing that the warrior who wins is worthless if everyone they were protecting died along the way. Rin stood among the instructors, remembering his own journey. From proud warrior who saw retreat as shameful to tactical thinker who saw it as a tool. From seeking glorious death to ensuring nobody had to die at all. His culture's honor codes hadn't changed, but his understanding of them had deepened. Some of you come from cultures that value direct confrontation, David said. Others from species that trust in strength alone. Others still for traditions that demand formal duels and ritualized combat. None of this is wrong. He emphasized that word. Your traditions evolve for good reasons in your environments, but the galaxy is bigger than any one world, he continued. Your enemies won't fight by your rules. Nature doesn't care about honor codes. Physics doesn't respect tradition. So you must be adaptable. Take the best from human tactics, combine it with the best from your own heritage. Create something greater than either alone. In the audience, young warriors listened, some eager, some skeptical, all knowing that their predecessors had proven these methods worked. They had seen the statistics: fewer dead, more victories, faster resolutions to conflicts. Admiral Kresh took the stage next. "I fought in the border wars," he said. "Watched good soldiers die because we insisted on tactics that prioritized honor over effectiveness. Saw entire units wiped out because retreat was considered shameful." His voice carried weight of experience. "When humans joined the coalition and suggested different approaches, I resisted. My pride demanded it." He gestured to David. "But humans are pragmatic to a fault. They showed results, not theories. Rescued those civilians with zero casualties. Completed missions we thought impossible. Reduced death rates across all operations." He looked at the graduating cadets. "Your generation will fight smarter than mine did. You'll save lives we lost. That is the highest honor any warrior can achieve." After the ceremony, Rin found David in the garden overlooking the academy grounds. "Do you ever wonder if we're changing too much?" the alien asked. "If we're losing something important in pursuit of efficiency?" David considered the question seriously. Every culture fears that. When humans first developed firearms, sword masters argued we were losing the art of blade work. When we created aircraft, cavalry officers claimed we were abandoning martial tradition. He smiled. "But cultures don't really die. They evolve. Your honor codes still matter. You just understand them more deeply now." "How so?" Rin asked. "You used to think honor meant facing enemies in direct combat," David said. "Now you know honor means ensuring those you're sworn to protect actually survive to see tomorrow. You still value courage, sacrifice, duty. You just express them through wisdom instead of recklessness." Below them, students from different species trained together. A scene impossible 6 months ago. Traditional enemies working side by side, learning from each other. "Humans have a saying," David added. "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it, but those who cannot adapt to the future are condemned to become the past." He looked at Rin. "Your people's traditions give you strength. Human adaptability gives you flexibility. Together, you're unstoppable." Rin's mandibles clicked in what humans had learned was amusement. "My clutch mother would have a fit if she saw me teaching retreat tactics. Would she prefer you dead and glorious or alive and effective?" David asked. "Alive." Rin admitted. "She would want me alive. That is what parents truly want, regardless of what warrior culture claims." "Exactly," David said. "And that's why this works. Because underneath all the traditions and honor codes and military doctrine, every species shares one thing. We want our people to survive. Humans just got very, very good at making that happen." Messages were already arriving from across the galaxy. Requests for human tactical advisors. Inquiries about training programs. Even traditionally isolationist species reconsidering their doctrines after seeing coalition success rates. The change was spreading. Not because humans forced it, but because results spoke louder than tradition. Dead warriors couldn't protect anyone. Surviving warriors could. As stars emerged above the academy, David and Rin stood in comfortable silence. Teacher and student, human and alien, united by shared understanding that true strength was bringing everyone home alive. Somewhere in the galaxy, conflicts still raged. Pirates raided, territories were disputed, old grudges flared into violence. But now, forces trained in human adaptive tactics responded. They fought smarter, died less. One more. They fought not for glory, but for each other. Not to prove strength, but to preserve life. Not because tradition demanded it, but because those they protected deserved warriors who would actually survive to defend them. And perhaps that was the most profound change humanity brought to the stars. Not superior weapons or tactics, but a simple philosophy that seemed obvious once spoken, but had eluded warrior cultures for millennia. The point of fighting was not to die well. It was to live well enough that fighting became unnecessary. That was the human gift. Not tactical brilliance, though they had that. Not technological advantage, though they brought innovations, but the stubborn, practical, infinitely valuable understanding that survival was victory and everyone deserved to survive. The galaxy was learning, slowly, sometimes painfully, but learning nonetheless. And humanity, the species that had barely survived its own death world through sheer adaptability, was teaching the stars how to thrive. One student at a time, one rescued ship at a time, one challenged tradition at a time. The future was uncertain. Conflicts would continue. Challenges would arise. But now, warriors across the galaxy faced them with new tools, ancient courage combined with modern wisdom. Traditional honor merged with practical tactics. They fought like humans now, which meant they fought to win, and winning meant coming home. That was enough.